Welcome to the Win, Make, Give Wealth Series. This is Ben Kinney, joined with Chad Himes and Bob Stewart. Say hi, gentlemen.
Hi, gentlemen.
Still here.
Idiots. It just doesn't get any easier to hang out with these guys.
I thought we were last time we were assets.
No, we were ass.
Got it.
Still idiots and assets. We are deep into the Wealth Series.
2.0.
We have spent time with an introduction to wealth. We've had a reality check to tell us where are we at right now.
Yep.
We learned about assets and calculated our net worth. We just took a journey to really learn about income, the three different types, and how do we actually increase our income. Now, we really need to do something. Feel like this is something that my mom enjoyed to do.
Okay.
We need to save like crazy.
Ooh.
And saving like crazy is going to cover 4, and you'll find these in the workbook, 4 very specific sections. Number 1, how do you actually cut expenses, business and personal?
Okay.
Number 2, when you do that, you should have an excess, which you're going to use to create an emergency fund,
I got interesting stats on that.
which we're going to talk about.
Yep.
Next, number 3, how do you automate this? Let's take the temptation out of our lives. Let's just make it easy to save like crazy.
Yes.
And then last, Chad, this was your idea.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get everybody to live on a budget
Yes.
and pick a budget model that works for you? Now, my
Esteemed
homie,
colleagues? Is that what you were going to call us?
you what?
Esteemed colleagues? That's what you were about to call us, right?
No, I think it's arrogant for you to think I was going to refer to you.
Looked like he was about to throw something at us.
My
Bob.
homie, Warren Buffett,
Ah, yes. Well,
we're buddies. I don't know if you know that. Yeah, we hang. No, we.
I heard one time they let you into like his annual meeting or something.
I've been in
like,
the
on
same.
accident.
I've been in the same room as Warren Buffett. I mean, no big deal. No big deal, ladies and gentlemen. Like, it was me and like 11,000 of my friends. But yeah, we hung out in the same room. Anyway, Warren Buffett said, "Do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving."
ooh, say it again. Say it again. It's a good one.
Do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. Isn't that so good?
That's a great quote.
Well, you did a little bit of research about savings. Now, by the way, it's not good or bad,
Nope.
just facts, because we want all of you to look up and say, where am I at?
Correct.
And then what can I do about it?
Yep.
Okay. As of 2022, Chad.
Yep. 42% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings.
Okay. So that means that's one broken car, 1 week or 2 off of work,
Yep.
1 bad situation away from 0,
Yes.
which, once again, all of us in this room have been at,
Oh, yes.
plus negative. Okay. What about the average savings account
Yeah,
balance?
the average American savings account balance, $4,500.
Okay.
Okay. Between 1959 and 2022, the average U.S. savings rate has actually been 8.96%.
Meaning of the annual income that they make,
Yep.
people have been saving roughly 9%.
Yep.
Okay.
And in total, gross personal savings in the U.S. is 2.3 trillion.
How much of that is ours?
Not even the 0.3. not even the 0.3 there.
Not even the 0.00003?
Maybe the point. We're just a little decimal in that.
We're just one little decimal.
Yes.
I'm just what was that? I'm just a bill sitting on top of Capitol
Hill.
Okay. Sam Walton said,
Control your expenses better than your competition. This is where you can always find the competitive advantage.
Bob, what do they say about at PayPal?
they had grown too fast at PayPal. Their operating expenses had grown too fast. And growth covers a lot of sin, but we want to grow without sin.
The last couple of years, economically, a lot of people have been in a good position.
Yeah.
PPP money, decent economy, meme stocks, crypto. Like there was an abundance of money for a lot of the population.
Yeah, and forced savings for a lot of the population as we had to stay home,
Stayed
couldn't go
home,
out,
didn't
couldn't
do
do
anything.
this.
Yeah. So that excess covers a lot of sins. And now we're going into an economic environment where it's going to be tougher. So we need to save more. And one of the ways that you save more is that you brutally, aggressively cut expenses. We have a model and an exercise that we don't just teach, but we live by at our company called the highlighter experiment. The highlighter experiment says you take your bank statements and your credit card statements on a monthly basis with a red, yellow, and green highlighter, and you go through each one of your expenses. Little different than the exercise we started off with, which was helping us identify the difference between required and optional, right?
Right, yep.
This one is we're asking ourselves the question, what do we have to keep paying? Green.
Okay.
What do we think that we could negotiate, replace, or potentially live without? Yellow. We're going to spend the month researching, thinking, trying, for instance. And then red.
Which means?
Somehow we ended up with 2 Netflix accounts.
Yeah, okay.
We don't really need to do that particular thing anymore.
Right.
Like the amount of Uber Eats or Uber rides or these things, when you add it all up, it's actually really excessive and we're embarrassed.
Yeah, for some people, sadly, it's that gym membership,
Could be,
right? Or the Peloton subscription, Ben?
hypothetically.
Red line that one.
Hypothetically. If you aren't going to use it, you might as well cancel it.
But there's stuff like I did this recently. You know, I should do it every month. I don't always, but we probably do it every quarter at the least. But like I was paying for a subscription for my son's baseball, where when I couldn't make it to his games, they would stream it, and this is an app, and it was $8.99 a month. I don't need it right now. He's not playing baseball here in Washington State again for a couple more months, and so that was something. On the last time we did it last month, I just turned that thing off.
Smart.
So we're asking you today, as part of your homework, do it with your kids, your spouse, your business partners, your honey bunny, whoever.
Yep.
Friends, networking group,
Sure.
book club.
Yep.
We don't care.
Wealth Club.
True. Get it out and go line by line. In business, you often get a P&L, and the P&L rolls up all these things into buckets.
Yes.
Payroll, lead generation, office supplies, so on.
Yep.
But things get hidden in that. So what I want you to do is to not go through your P&L, but to go through your bank statements and your line items of every single charge and ask yourself the simple question, is this absolutely required in today's world?
Is it a green? Is it a yellow? Or is it a red?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's a green, maybe your office space.
Yep.
But sometimes your office space could be required, but you could negotiate it.
Okay.
You could rent some of that out.
Yep.
There's things you could do. So ask yourself, is it truly, is all of it necessary?
Right. Is it a green or is it a yellow in that case?
Right. The yellow, I want you to try things like go a month without cable. See if Netflix and those things are fine. If you enjoy HBO and Hulu, do HBO for 3 months and Hulu for 3 months, but don't do them all at the same time.
Right.
Nice thing is you save up all the Yellowstone episodes, so you get to watch them all at once instead of wait week after week.
Yes.
Right? You might as well
Binging
save
is
it
way
up.
better.
Seriously.
This is also, yellow would be like my cell phone. I could be contacting my cell phone company and saying, hey, I want to negotiate my fee or what I'm paying.
Or shop it to other providers.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. And you're saying do this monthly.
Yep.
Now, Bob has said in a past episode that when he was doing his net worth and stuff that, you know, you only pay probably for your car insurance once every 6 months or something like that. There are bills like that. by doing this monthly, we're never going to miss those when they show up. I don't necessarily have to go back and grab the last 6 months. Yet if I start today, I'll catch that the next time it comes up.
We're already asking you to schedule 1 day a month that you sit down with your people and calculate your net worth. Well, one of the ways you calculate your net worth, Chad, is you look at your bank statements to see how much cash you have in there.
Right.
If you already have it open, Bob, and in front of you, you might as well look at the items. One of the ways you calculate your net worth is you look at your liabilities.
Yep.
Part of your liabilities is your credit card statements. You're going to write the new balance of your credit card statement.
So since you have it out,
might as well go through it.
Sure.
That's what we're asking.
And a lot of the things are going to be recurring, which will make them really easy to say, hey, this is still a green. I got to pay the rent, the mortgage every month. There it is again, green, green, green.
But one of the things that happens there, I've a number of times been in the room when our business partner Chris does this, and he's, this is like really right in his wheelhouse. But he said that like when you get in a cadence and a habit of doing this month over month, you'll start to recognize things that are like off. And a lot of people that don't do this, like, they charge you something on your bill. It's an extra $30 and you don't see it or notice. But Chris said, when you get into a rhythm of doing this, you start to spot those things, right? Mm-hmm. And you're like, wait a minute, that's like, I should check into that. Like, why is that $30 more? Why is this a little bit different? Or did they double charge me here?
Right. And if you're saving like crazy, there's not going to be a lot of red because you're working on saving like crazy that, oh, I eliminated that last month so it doesn't show up this month. I eliminated that this month, it won't show up next month. All of a sudden you're down to greens and yellows really when you're doing this exercise, hopefully over the long run if you're doing it right.
Hopefully.
Okay.
But life changes.
Sure.
And there's things you realize, Peloton, I'm not using it.
Right.
Now I can get rid of it. Maybe last month you were, but this month you're not. It's summer and there's no reason to be inside riding a bike in the Northwest in the summer when you have 18 hours of daylight.
Right.
There you go. So your first exercise is doing the highlighter experiment. Okay. Step 2 of saving like crazy.
Yep.
Create an emergency fund.
Okay.
So as you're cutting your expenses, we're hoping that it creates some excess.
Yes.
However, you don't want to invest every extra dollar that you have because poop happens. And if you took every dollar and put it into your investment things we're going to talk about during the Wealth Series, and all of a sudden your car breaks down, or you have some big medical thing you got to pay for, or some thing for the kids you got to pay for dance camp or whatever that is,
came
right?
up, yep.
Then you don't have to go borrowing from your retirement accounts or buying from your other things.
Right. You're going to have to leverage one of your assets.
Also, in some cases, like let's say you were just putting it into the stock market, you might have to go attempt to get it out of there at a time when the prices aren't what you'd want it to be.
Yeah, and you may, when taking money out, you may actually have to pay extra taxes on that too.
Taxes,
You get
another factor
or
that
take
a lot
a
of people wouldn't
loss.
think
because
about.
you didn't hold it for a long enough period, so
Right.
it becomes not normal income, it becomes investment income. Well, here's my recommendation. Go back to one of the very first sessions called,
Reality check?
and in the reality check, you figured out what are your optional and your required expenses.
Okay.
Take that number,
Which one?
both of them combined,
Okay.
the combined of them, and multiply it by 4.
4.
We want you to save up over time, maybe over the next year or whatever, 4 months of that amount that you're going to put in a interest paying savings account,
Yep.
preferably at a bank that's not easy for you to get to, or in an extra account that you don't have a checkbooks or debit card for, right?
Or you're smart like I am and just have your wife take care of it so that she won't let you anywhere near it.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. You're going to save up 4 months reserves.
Why 4? I want to challenge that number with you. Talk about why 4, because I just mentioned Nita, for example. She wants 12. That's her, comfort level of where it is. Why do you say 4, Ben?
Couple reasons. Number one, most people don't have events where their income goes to 0 as a family for 4 months.
Okay.
A lot of times it goes to 50% for 2 months, or it goes down 30%, or something like that happens.
Okay. So
And
one of the partners loses a job, or you take some time off, or
Or
something.
the
in there.
business struggles for a few months,
Right.
or
Okay.
you get your hours cut, or whatever that might be. In that situation, you actually do have 8 or 12 months of reserves, because very rarely do we go down to 0.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So if I cost $3,000 a month, and if my income went down to $1,500, I'm only spending $1,500 of that reserve. I'm not spending $3,000, which is the monthly amount I would have had in there.
The
I get
second
it.
reason is because of this term we keep talking about called inflation.
Yes.
And inflation means the value of money goes down over time.
Okay.
As the inflation rate is 8%, that means over a year, your money is worth 8% less.
Right.
So if you were talking to your bride, Nina,
Yep.
you would say, honey, having 12 months reserves means at the end of the year, those 12 months are actually worth 8% less than it was a year ago.
Okay.
So it would be better for us to save 4 months to protect ourselves and invest the other 8 months
Offset inflation.
to offset inflation in a way and in a place that was safe and accessible if we actually needed it.
I'll let you have that conversation with her.
You know what's funny? My wife's the same way. Like, for some reason, that money sitting in her bank account that she can touch and grab and have like tomorrow
Yep.
is better than the money like in a stock account where you just have to sell the stock and then 10 seconds later you'd have the money. Like, that's a mindset thing, right? For my wife, it comes from watching her mother raise her. We learned these habits from our parents. It was watching us being raised by a single mom who had a lot of money challenges, and every month that it was a tight, and she held on to those last pennies because it was a security thing, you know?
Sure. I get it. I just wanted to know where the 4 came from. And 4 really is 8 the way you're saying it, because we're not going to go all the way to 0, most likely.
Yep.
It might happen. And if it does happen, it probably doesn't really happen for 4 whole months that we're able to then start recovering upon it. And because of what's going on with the economy today with inflation, that the money's just actually getting weaker and weaker sitting there in a emergency fund. So 4 months is your recommendation, Ben.
Now here's how it gets a little bit better for somebody like Nita.
Okay.
If you guys had a rental property and the mortgage payment was $1,200 a month, I would also tell you to use the rents from that property to build up 4 months of a mortgage payment before you took any money out of that account either.
Right.
So that you would always have 4 months of having no tenant in that property and you'd be safe.
Sure. That makes sense.
Now, if you own a business, I would also tell you if it costs you 10 grand a month to run your business, you should also, instead of distributing all your profits, save up 4 months reserves for your business.
Okay.
So that in your business account, you also have 4 months reserves.
So this emergency fund isn't just a personal emergency fund for around the house. This emergency fund is an emergency fund for each property I own. This is you're calculating all those expenses and saying, okay, whether they're separate entities or other one entity, they all should have a 4-month emergency account just in case.
Keep 4 months reserves for anything that potentially could cost you money in the future.
Okay.
Now, when you do that, like I said, you have 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, or 24 months of actual money to protect you. And that gives you the confidence to continue to invest as we get into those topics in the wealth series.
Got it.
After you've done that,
Yep.
2 things. 1, you've cut as many expenses as you can.
Yep.
You've taken a portion of that extra money to start putting into reserves.
Would you take, and you just said that, so I want to challenge and ask more about that. You say a portion. So if I saved $500, would you take the $500 and just say, I don't do anything with it until the emergency fund is built to 4 months? Or would you say a portion of, I'm going to take 50% of that extra money now towards my emergency fund and still put 50% of it to work?
I tend to do the latter.
And that's kind of your buckets, how you talk about that.
Yeah, I build
Okay.
up reserves over time and I invest consistently.
Okay. So you're putting a portion of all that money everywhere.
Well, the third step,
Yep.
you automate your savings. One of the easiest, most logical ways to automate your savings is to sign up for your company's 401k program and just have that money taken out off the top before you pay taxes and before you get your paycheck.
Right. You won't even notice it missing, most likely.
You're just going to learn to live on what's left.
Right.
Well, the next step is you're maxing out your 401k options.
Okay.
Maybe you go to Acorn, an app, and you sign up for an IRA, and you know in the IRA that you can put $6,500 in a 12-month period in there.
Okay.
Maybe $7,000 this year. We should check. And you might say, I'm going to automate putting $200 a month in there, or I'm going to put $500 a month in there, whatever that might be.
Okay.
I've also done things with the companies that I've worked for where I said, I want 90% of my check to go to my Chase account. And I want 10% of my check to go into my Bowen Employees Credit Union account, which is incredibly inconvenient for me to get to because I have no checkbook and no ATM card.
Right.
And it gets direct deposited there and it becomes a forced saving account.
Sure.
And I've automated it.
Right. Smart.
By the way, $6,000 IRA, but if you're over 50, it's $7,000 for 2022.
Over 50 or can I beat 50?
50 or older. So
okay,
50
yes!
qualifies.
Nice, Chad. Nice. Is that the 2023 number or 2022?
That is 2022. I'll track down 2023 while we're going along.
Okay. Automate savings.
Okay. So those are some good ways to automate savings.
But
there are other accounts out there that they'll do the extra pennies that'll roll over
Acorn.
into your, right?
Acorn will round up every transaction and take a little bit of money. So if you paid $6.13 for something,
Right.
it would take the 87 cents.
I just saw you do the math in your head.
It'll take the 87 cents and put it into a savings account. You can
Right.
also set it up so Acorn, it does that for your kids' college fund
Sure.
called Acorns for Later for your kids. So you can do it to save for your kids, save for your retirement, or just save cash for yourself. The goal is that I want you to automate it.
Right.
If you get commission checks, then maybe you take your commission check when you cash it and you say, I'm going to take 10% or 20% of that and I'm going to put it into this different account.
Okay.
We want you to explore ways to automate your savings. So when you go through our worksheets, you're going to write down how much were you able to save and cut in monthly expenses by doing the highlighter experiment.
Got
That's
it.
your first exercise. You're going to report how much you actually saved.
Okay.
Number two, you're going to calculate what your reserve amounts should be. You're
Okay.
going to fill that into the worksheet.
Yep.
Number three, you're going to research and write down a couple ways that you could start automating some savings, separate accounts, whatever.
Yep.
I've even taken money and put it in an envelope and put it in a safe,
Sure.
right? Or change and put it in the jar that Bob's been saving since he was a kid.
Right.
All right. Lastly, we're going to live on a budget model.
Okay.
When you live on a budget model, you're going to decide what percentage of your monthly net income
Mm-hmm.
after taxes and 401k, right? The money that you have left over
Yep.
that gets deposited in your account every month.
Yep.
What percentage of that are you going to live on? You should know already what that is.
Because you know how much you're making and you know how much you're spending. So
Yeah,
you should be able to figure
take
it
that,
out.
divide those into each other. You know, are you spending 70%, 80%, 99% of your
110%, 50%,
Whatever
whatever
it
it's going to be something.
figure out the ratio?
Yep.
Okay. One model for people to really become severely in a good way, really wealthy is the 50-25-25 model.
Okay.
That is where you spend 50% of your income on your requireds. Housing, utilities, groceries, transportation,
Taxes, etc.
taxes, health insurance, the required.
Yep.
And then you live on 25% for your weekly spending.
Okay.
So let's say
That's
that
my entertainment and my other optional things that we talked about earlier.
let's say that we make $4,000 a month after all taxes, everything's done.
Okay. So you're saying,
$2,000 is going to your required.
yep.
We're going to take 25% of that,
This is 1,000.
1,000,
Even I got that math.
and we're going to divide it by 4.33.
Weeks. Right.
Divide by 4.33, Chad, because that's the number of
Weeks in a month.
on average.
Right.
Which means you could spend $231 per week on optional things. Going out.
Netflix.
Why do you break it down to a week versus a month? Like, why not just say it's $1,000 a month? Like, why do you put it in that more short time frame?
Because if you were really struggling with being financially accountable, I would go to the bank and take out $231 and put it in an envelope
Cash.
and
it
knew
just
that that's
was
what you
what
could
it
go to
was.
Starbucks or go out to lunch or go out drinking or go bowling or do anything in excess.
And if you'd never done this before, you're saying or we're assuming that it's going to be a little bit easier to kind of manage that over the course of a week than it would be over the course of a month.
At the end of the month, you're gonna be like, did I spend $1,000 or did I not?
Yeah.
And
It's
if you took
easier
out
in
the
the week.
cash even, you'll be out of it by the end of the second week going, now what do I do for
It's
2
easier
weeks?
during the week to look up and say, I have $231 to spend.
Right.
Tell you what, back in my younger days when I was more exciting, I'd be like, I'm going to have tuna fish sandwiches until Thursday night. And then I'm going to allocate the rest of the money from Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. And Sunday, I'm going to make chili at home.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Because I'm going to go out, hang out with friends, do whatever that might be.
And folks, by listening to the Wealth Series, we might even secretly on the Win Make Give website be hiding Ben Kinney's chili recipe.
What?
Yes, but you have to be part of the Wealth Series to find where that hidden link's going to be.
No kidding. Okay.
No kidding.
So we're at 25, 50. That's 75. That gives us 25% of our income left.
To do what with?
That's for debt reduction,
Okay,
paying down our excess credit cards,
got it.
savings, investing, and giving.
Okay.
But the only way that this works is if you can make a commitment that you can reduce your expenses, increase your income, or you're already there to where you can literally live off 75% of your income.
Okay.
That is a wicked model for living a disciplined, budgeted financial life.
Yes.
In the workbook, you can do a little exercise in doing this in reverse based on how much you're actually making and how much you need to make.
Okay. So if I figured out my expenses, I could then say my expenses are $2,000 using your example, realize that 50%, do the math there, double it and say, okay, I need to make 4,000 to be able to live that 50, 25, 25 rule.
And that would be your new income goal to go out and accomplish.
Got it.
Yeah, well said.
Okay.
Okay. There's a simpler model that you could ease yourself into,
Okay.
and it's called the 80-10-10 rule.
Same as the 50, 25, 25, except we're just substituting percentages.
A little different.
Okay.
We are going to live on 80% of our net income.
Okay.
Fun, required.
Oh, okay. So you're covering both expenses now in the 80%.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to live on 80%.
Got it.
We're going to take 10% on a monthly basis. We're going to invest.
Okay.
So if we're making 4,000 net, we would invest 400 into an account to save for our down payment for our house, or we're going to put into our stock account or whatever.
So
We're
when
going
you
to learn about
say
investing later.
When you say invest, that could mean save as well as invest.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that's the other 10%. We're going to use it for debt reduction, giving, or additional savings to hit our goals.
Okay.
80, 10, 10. What I like about this is for those that have debt, they tend to get fixated on paying off all the debt at once. So they live an 80-20 life
Okay.
and they never make any investments because they're always paying down. And the moment they get in financial trouble, they have to go borrow again
Yep.
to save themselves. And then they're back paying off that debt.
Got it. That
The
makes a lot of
benefit
sense.
of investing is that grows over time to protect yourself so you don't have to live on debt.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Now, when you do a budget, you gave us these as budgeting models. Do you sit down, Ben, and write out a budget before every month of where you're anticipating putting all of this money? Are you creating a true line item budget?
I tend to follow the simpler routes like I described
Okay.
of just trying to live off a percentage of my income.
Okay.
As
So
my
instead of having
income-
to do the detail work and, you're going to just say, look, I'm giving myself 50, 25, and 25% for this.
Over time, I've just realized how much it costs me to live. I know my mortgage payment is $1,800.
Right.
I know my truck payment, right? I know what I live on. So I've just agreed to pay myself a fixed salary. And I know that covers because I own my own business. So I pay myself that salary that covers my expenses.
Yep.
I know every other dollar I have is available for investing.
Got it.
Okay. To wrap this up, we're going to go through the 10 ways to save like a pro, and Chad and Bob are going to go one after the other and walk ourselves through the 10 different ways to truly save like a pro.
All right, Bob, you ready?
Yep, let's do it.
I'll let you go first.
All right, pay yourself first.
Okay.
So this is essentially what Ben just talked about, right? That's what he does. He makes sure that he's paying himself out of his business first, and that those first expenses are taken care of.
Okay. Number 2, we've got make a budget and stick to it. Again, what we just covered for you, right? Whether you're a 50-25-25, an 80-10-10, heck, you got to be a 70-15-15. Figure out what you're going to be able to live on, but make a budget and stick to it. That'll help you save.
Some people might be at a position right now where they're a 95-5. They have to live on 95%.
Right.
But they can save and commit to saving 5% for a while until they can get closer to the 80-10-10. Or
right. Then they might be a 95-5 and then work their way towards that 80-10-10.
Right.
Sure.
Number 3.
Periodically, and I would say continually, revisit your bills to see where you can cut spending.
That's a good one, right? Because that'd be the highlighter exercise. Are we doing that and staying on top of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Consolidate and eliminate your debt.
Based on paying off what first?
In my opinion, it's highest interest rate that we're going to pay down and get rid of those things because they're what hurts us most. Not necessarily, oh, that one's little, let me get it over with. Go after the ones that are going to hurt you, not counting your mortgage.
Which we talked about in the reality check.
Yes, you were talking about at that time when we were highlighting them, so we were looking at
and
our
we wrote
different
down
credit
the
card
interest rates already.
Correct.
Okay, next
we should
one,
know.
Bob.
Bob?
The Benjamin Franklin would love this one, right? Pay attention to the little things that add up, because even a little leak can sink a big ship. So it's those little things, the details, the small things.
Way to tie that quote back in for us, Bob, and bring it episode to episode. Right? Ben, you've talked about this one a bunch already. It's take advantage of employer and government options, right? Like that 401k that you can get into and other programs you can get into that are forcing savings upon you.
Love it.
Bob?
Stop collecting things. This one hurts my soul, actually.
That's why I made sure when I looked at the list that you said this one and I said the next one.
Stop collecting things and start selling them.
Yeah.
Oh, if you have a financial challenge and you don't have enough money to invest or pay down debt, time to part with some things and get caught up and start fresh.
Yeah. Just by selling a few pairs of shoes, a few posters, whatever it might be, you might then put yourself back into a position before you know it, you can go buy those things again.
Look, if you're sitting on things that have value and you have debt on the other side that is racking up interest,
remember that when you're looking at all those shoes.
Okay.
All right, the next one on here, and I made sure that this one was me, right? Eat in instead of dining out. That's going to not only save us money, that's going to just help our health like crazy. Right. So, I mean, the wealth series, yes, we can call it the health series. And a lot of these things we're going to be applying to helping our health as well for it. As I say that, and I see Bob kind of giving himself the once over glance. Bob, number 9.
Save bonuses, tax refunds, and gifts. We do this with our boys. We make them save 50% of any gift they get from their grandparents or whoever. Tax refunds, when I was in my 20s, tax refund time was like new couch, big screen TV.
Amen.
Right? It was...
Pay off that credit card.
Today,
that
Aaron and I, that tax refund goes straight into savings or towards the investments and then save bonuses. We do the same thing. My wife bonuses at her job quarterly. If she's killing it, and those things go straight into savings for us, and they haven't always in my life.
Yeah, and the audience knows I'm not a fan of top 10 list yet. Ben had this list created, so it's 10. And you call it master the 30-day rule. To me, it's a 48-hour rule personally in my life. That's only because I've lived in your world long enough that I've gone through the 30-day rule strongly. And that's waiting 30 days to actually make that purchase, right? I don't know how many things, if you opened my phone right now or Nita's phone right now and looked in the shopping cart, we have things that are there. But we have to wait at least 48 hours before we're allowed to click purchase because so many things we're buying emotionally, not logically, and we're spending money we should just be saving in the first place.
There's a lot of times where you wake up, you're like, gosh, I want a new car.
Right.
And then in 30 days, you're like, you forgot about it and you didn't want it anymore. So you didn't really, truly need it. So I love that list of top 10. So let's wrap this up when you go to your workbook, which can be found at winmakegive.com/wealth or /resources, you're answering these questions, you're filling these things out, you're actually doing these exercises, and you're answering the questions because you want to win big on our cash and prize giveaway, because this is a legit contest, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to answer these last couple questions. How much can I afford to save on a monthly basis? Of that, how much is left over to invest on a monthly basis? You need to know these two items so that you can go through the rest of the wealth series and take advantage of the investment ideas that we are going to present. Number two, ask yourself the question, is this enough to hit my goals? Am I going to be on track to retire or to buy that home or to be wealthy or be financially free? If not, do something about it. Cut more expenses or increase your income. Do something about it. Lastly, what can I do to change things? Like I said, if I'm not on the right trajectory, be honest when you answer these questions. And then, of course, there's a little question at the end of every workbook that might be part of the contest that we send you at the very end for you to answer to win all these cash and prizes. Awesome, Chad. Let's wrap this up.
All right, Ben, here we are, folks. We are continuing to take you through Wealth Series 2.0. Okay, make sure that you are registered. Ben's already mentioned it, winmakegive.com/wealth. Make sure you are getting your friends, your family, your community, your classmates, anybody, your mentors, your mentees. They should all be going through the Wealth Series so that you can continue these conversations at a higher level. You don't want to miss any of them because there is big prize money waiting for you at the end. Folks, keep joining us here and keep plugging in at our Facebook group, Win, Make, Give, where we continue to discuss these questions and more as we go through the Wealth Series. And as always, Bob, is a reminder and a flashback to the first one, wash your hands. And as always, do good.